Hello, friend. I want to tell you about the Subaru Legacy car. There are few cars in this segment that are as highly valued by users as the Subaru Legacy. In theory, the upper-class car is in practice inconspicuous, subdued, and elegant, and under this modest exterior lies a refined technology that is its greatest asset. The SAWD drivetrain is designed to balance the car as best as possible and provide the most even distribution of drive power to all four wheels, and thus provide neutral or slightly oversteering handling characteristics on slippery surfaces. In this respect, Subaru has created one of the best solutions. In cars with manual transmission, the power distribution is taken care of by a central differential locked with a viscous clutch. On the other hand, with automatic transmissions, an electronically controlled multi-plate clutch is used, which also constantly distributes the torque to both axles. Both solutions are equally efficient, and in cars with 2-liter petrol engines without supercharging, there is also a reduction gear with a small ratio. It is worth mentioning the Subaru Outback 3, which is technically a twin of the Legacy station wagon, but has a slightly different style and a 40 mm higher ground clearance. In practice, it is an off-road station wagon, being a link between the Road Legacy and the off-road Forester. Subaru Legacy engines. In Subaru, we will not find a single inline engine. All of them are characteristic boxers for the brand. The smallest and weakest, with a capacity of 2 liters, develops 138 horsepower, and after the facelift in 2007, 150 horsepower. The larger 2.5 in the naturally aspirated version reaches 165 horsepower before the facelift and 173 horsepower after the facelift, and in the supercharged GT, 250 horsepower. The top petrol engine is a 3-liter, 6-cylinder boxer with 245 horsepower. Supercharged 2-liter engines were also used in various markets, but here we only list those that can be found in our country. The petrol engine range was complemented by the first diesel from Subaru, designated as 2.0D, which was first used in this model in 2008. It develops 150 horsepower. The Japanese manufacturer had a quality mishap in it in the form of a cracked crankshaft, but fortunately not in the Legacy. There are other problems, however. Which engine should I choose for my Subaru Legacy? If you want to drive cheaply, choose a diesel and count on luck. If you are not lucky, give it a wide berth. This engine was not a refined design from the start, and in the Legacy, it had one defect: axial play on the crankshaft. This was repaired as part of a service campaign. If the model you are interested in has undergone such a repair, then good. If not, the risk of a serious failure is high. This is not the only problem with the 2.0D engine. The large torque of 350 nanometers and excellent traction can quickly finish off the clutch disc. This was also a problem shortly after the engine appeared on the market. Some had to replace the clutch after driving 20 kilometers. Subaru explained that it was due to the inability to handle the diesel engine, to which longtime customers of the brand were not accustomed. There is some truth in this, but it should have been expected. In practice, the clutch can last much longer, provided it is treated gently. The same applies to the dual-mass flywheel. Diesel problems will also be caused by other areas that are always critical in such units: the DPF filter and the EGR valve. Unfortunately, more serious repairs, such as replacing the injection system or turbocharger, are very expensive, so we generally advise avoiding this engine. So what to choose to be cheap? There are 2 ways: a 2-liter petrol with 150 horsepower and a quiet, economical ride on petrol, or 2.5 liters and LPG installation. Why do we not recommend gas for 2.0? Because excluding the 138 horsepower version, this engine will require valve adjustment, and this is done by replacing the glasses, and often the engine has to be removed. Thus, the cost of installing LPG will not pay off, or by not doing this, you will destroy the engine. This is basically the end of the disadvantages of this engine, which can be considered the least problematic and most economical in operation. Fuel consumption of 10 to 12 L 100 kilometers is easy to achieve. If there are any minor failures, it is most often the contamination of the throttle and EGR valve. The 2.5 engine is better suited for gasification because it has a screw valve clearance adjustment. It does not need to be removed and is more resistant to this fuel. Unfortunately, it also has a few typical faults that occur more often when using LPG. One of the most common is the burning of head gaskets, but this mainly applies to cars that have been used hard. The first symptom of failure is oil leaks. By the way, the engine likes to drink a little when it is pressed. It is important to keep an eye on the condition. Lambda probes burn out quite often in LPG cars. If you intend to drive on gas, use good workshops and high-class installations, and keep an eye on the valve adjustments. The supercharged version of the 2.5T engine rarely appears on the market, and the cars come from overseas. Despite the great performance, we advise you to give up on the subject, because Subaru did not prepare this unit best for work under high load. Serious failures, including cracked pistons, do occur. If you are looking for the best possible performance, we recommend the 3.0 engine. It sounds wonderful and has slightly worse performance than the 2.5T, and it is not defective. The only drawback may be expensive servicing and high fuel consumption, which easily exceeds 15 L 100 kilometers. Unfortunately, the engine is not very suitable for cooperation with a gas installation. In our opinion, this is the best choice in this model, although it comes at the cost of high fuel consumption. For those who are frugal, we recommend mild operation on gas in the 2.5 version with automatic. You can also go for the older 2.0, although you shouldn't expect good performance here. This engine also has another disadvantage not directly related to itself. What's going wrong with the Subaru Legacy? High costs are generated by the drivetrain. In cars with a mileage of around 200,000 kilometers, a worn viscous clutch blocking the center differential can be expected. Second gear synchronizer failures also occur. The blame for everything can be put on the lack of oil changes in the transmissions. Unfortunately, this applies to most cars with a 2.0 engine and manual. It is safer to choose a car with an automatic gearbox, and this is easier with a 2.5 engine. That's basically all the fears that lurk in this model. The front suspension wears out pretty quickly. It is possible to replace individual rubbers. Shock absorbers are also weak, but they are not expensive. In more powerful engine versions, the front axle brake discs and pads often have to be replaced, which is why we recommend installing higher quality products right away. A one-time investment will quickly pay off. Remember to use 4 identical tires, not only the size, but also the tread, due to the drivetrain. It is absolutely necessary to rotate the tires with each change. Is it worth buying a used Subaru Legacy? Legacy is worth buying for a simple reason: you won't lose much on it. Cars of this make have a low depreciation when it comes to older models. This is still a fairly simple generation that can be maintained at a relatively low cost, although some repairs will be expensive. The car has a decent suspension and drive system. It is as comfortable as it is reliable in driving, and with the right engine, it can give you a lot of driving pleasure. Our choice is the 3.0 with automatic, although we also recommend the 2.0 or 2.5. We advise you to avoid all kinds of supercharged engines. Thank you for listening to me. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and rate my video. If you know of any problems with this car that I haven't mentioned, be sure to write about them in the comments.